Y'all won't believe who I got on this show. Robyn Fuller. She's full of excellence. She's full of humility, full of kindness. Shit, she's full of beauty, full of joy, all of these things, man. And I know that's corny how I used your last name like that, but it's true.
That's actually one of my emails full of Robyn.
For real?
Yes.
See, he was on. I ain't know that. I hadn't researched that. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Robyn?
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. I see you looking good and everything. You had you did some headshots today, right?
I did.
So what was that about? Why you do headshots?
I did headshots because I have a new opportunity with Intuit, and I wanted something fresh. I wanted something like lifestyle.
Intuit?
Yes.
Wait, is that you talking about TurboTax?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. Y'all see who I got on here? So how did you get that opportunity? Did they reach out to you?
So actually very randomly. I was maybe on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. So I'm a CPA. So a lot of the feeds that come to me are accounting related. Mm-hmm. And so something came across to be a part of Intuit's Partner Council. And I'm like, what's that? And so I'm always looking for ways to get Black faces in front of anything related accounting because there are no Black people in accounting. And so like for me, I don't mind being the token Black girl because I do want people to see like regular down to earth women like me excel in a career that's particularly white male dominated. So it was the day before the due date. It's like an application you had to fill out. I'm like, I'm just going to go after it. And I really didn't even think too much into it because I was doing it the day before. So I applied. This was back in June. The application was due June 6th. And I know this because when they called me for an interview, I'm like, when did I even do this? So I did it June 5th. And they reached out to me into August and told me that they wanted to interview me. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Wow.
So in the letter, they're like, it's hundreds of people that applied to this. So basically, don't get your hopes up because we're interviewing you.
Yeah.
You know, we
that
may
don't
come
mean
back
you got
to
it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I reached out to one of my colleagues who had been on it before, a guy who I never met, but I always reach out to him when I have big things coming up. And so I reached out to him and told him that I had to interview. And he was like, just be yourself. And so that's what I did. And actually, when I had the interview, the woman that interviewed me had a poker face. I was like, she does not like me.
So you couldn't tell whether or not they was...
No, I thought I didn't. I reached back out to him and I was like, she didn't like me.
Wow.
And then the same woman called me back and she was so excited. She's like, Robyn, she's like, we chose you. We're so excited to
They
have
couldn't
you.
show that in the meeting
She
or
had
the interview.
a poker face. So yeah. So yeah.
They don't want to get your hopes up or anything like that. Plus, sometimes I'm trying to think, like, would you rather, if you're being interviewed, would you rather a person be expressive or would you rather them just be stoic and not show any emotion, right? I think it's pros and cons both ways because what if...
I want people to be expressive. Like, I want people to be real because the interview process to me for anything is so, like, you have so much anxiety. If it's something you want, you have so much anxiety about how people feel, if you're going to get a call back. And I just want people to just be real. Like, if I'm doing bad, you don't got to say, like, you stuck. But I want you to still, give me some kind of clue.
So what if they gave you a clue that, hey, man, you ain't doing that good on this interview thus far? The type of person you are, that would cause you to want to, step up to the challenge and do better. But some other people might be like, oh, they might crumble under that pressure, though, So, yeah, I guess it depends on the person. But
Maybe
for you,
so.
You want them to be transparent and honest.
I just like transparency in general.
That.
So just tell me.
Yeah, in general. And and it doesn't matter whether the transparency involves them telling you something that you may not want to hear, right? You just...
No. Because I don't really take success or failure to my heart.
Yeah.
So no.
Okay, what about relationships? I want to know how you feel about transparency in relationships.
I want to know.
Yeah, but some women are like, hey, ignorance is bliss. It's better if I don't know. If you think, let's say, if you think my makeup ain't looking on point, then don't tell me. But like...
I want to know. I mean, in some degree, I'm very like confident in myself and I know what I like and I know how I like to look and things like that. So, I mean, even if somebody told me like, oh, I'm not really feeling that, I would probably be like, okay, whatever.
Because you don't necessarily evaluate or assess your worth solely based on what somebody else thinks about you.
No. I really feel like I like to feel confident in my own way. Like, if I feel like I look good now, I mean, there are some things, I'm not saying that people can't tell me about myself, but I know how I like to dress. I know that I don't like to wear a ton of makeup or whatever the case may be. Whatever my comfort zone is, I have a base of what that is just in general. So I would love your feedback, but it's not going to make me cry if you don't like something.
Absolutely. And that probably speaks to your upbringing, right? Because a lot of people, their identity or how they value themselves is based on how other people see them, right? And there has to be something else to sort of counter that, like some foundational thing that comes from your household that instills certain things in you that make you feel a certain way about yourself that's irrespective, or that doesn't necessarily have to coincide with how others outside of your household feel about you.
Yeah, for sure. And we all, I say we as in parents, we all need to be very thoughtful about how we tell our kids about themselves, because they grow up to internalize that. Like, if you tell your kid like they're bad, or one thing I don't like is there's a girl, and I'm not obviously going to say who she is.
Who is she? No, I'm just kidding.
But she tells my daughter that she's grown. And I'm like,
what?
She's not grown. She's just smart. Like, why do you say she's grown? So, and I told Parker, because I talked to Parker about everything. I was like, Parker, you don't even know what grown means. Like, you don't. But I said, just in general.
And Parker is your daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
When people tell you something about yourself, if you don't believe it, you don't have to take that on. And so I was like, if somebody is calling you something, even if it's an adult, it's respectful for you to say, I don't agree with that, or whatever you want to say. It's okay for you to have a voice, respectfully.
Yeah, assert yourself. Yeah.
So I just think as parents, we have to be very forthcoming and intentional about telling our kids who they are and what they are, and allowing them to decide who they are for themselves, but also just instilling things like confidence and things like that.
Okay. I go all the way back with you. Cass Technical High School. I graduated in 02. You graduated in 03. You grew up. You were living in the King homes, right? For those of you who don't know, Mia was on here, and we're gonna talk about the connection between her and Mia later. But Mia was on here talking about Brightmoor and Dexter, and I was joking around like, hey, make sure you just drive. If you from out of town, drive straight through those areas. But where she was at was pretty gutter.
Same.
Yeah, it was the same.
Still is.
But you never really, you seemed like a diamond in the rough. You were not like the people in your environment, and that's no disrespect to them, but you always seemed like you carried yourself with a level of confidence and class, right?
So my mom, we grew up in church all our lives, and that's not to say that church is better or not better, but so when we were growing up, we were always in church because she was in leadership in church. So we would be at church Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, all the time. Saturdays, we were doing activities at church. So we weren't ever really we were there, and we did things like PAL, cheerleading, and football, but we also my mom was very big on education too. So in the summers, we always had something extra going on. So it would be either DepSep or Wayne State Math Corps, or I went to Cranbrook.
You went to Cranbrook?
I went to Cranbrook in high school every summer.
That's for those who don't know, that's probably one of the best high schools probably in Michigan, right?
So they had an Upward Bound program, and I went there every summer. I stayed up there for 6 weeks.
Because they got a campus too, right?
Yes. So I used to feel like my mom was sending me to boarding school. Like, why are you sending me here? But
you trying to get rid of me or something? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was really good. So my mom put us in everything. So even though we were there and we were around those people, we were not of them. And I'm not saying anything bad about anyone, but we were always involved in something relating to school or relating to sports or being active in something like that. And so I really attribute it to that, because even though I lived in that neighborhood, I always went to the better schools. I always went to great schools. And so even with elementary and middle school, obviously Cass is the Mecca. But
she's a little biased, but I agree with her. Yeah.
Even elementary and middle school, I went to really good schools. And so, I was always really smart, and I'm not bragging about this, but I was also always really smart.
Yeah.
So even though my mom put us in these environments, I got to excel because, I was a smart girl. So it's you already go to this good school, but we want to push you to go here, or we want to have you do this. So, I attribute it to that for sure.
And now, right, you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
When we were at Cass, did you ever have goals of becoming an entrepreneur? Did you even think you would go that far, right?
Maybe because when I was little, like my daughter's age, she's 7. I always knew I wanted to be a businesswoman. And so like I would like make up scenarios, when we're kids and we're imagining, I would be like typing on the computer or like, I always knew I wanted to be a businesswoman. So I didn't know, did I know I wanted to be an entrepreneur? No. But an interesting story. So my business partner went to Cass, and at Cass, we were cool. We knew each other. We were cordial.
Same year?
Wow. Same year, no idea whatsoever that we would go in business together. But in accounting, there are very few, 2% of accountants are black. CPAs are black.
Damn.
So when she went to Michigan State, I went to Michigan. And when we were going through school, we would see each other at any type of accounting related event. So when we both graduated, I think she got her CPA before me. She was still in school and I was studying for it. And we had a conversation on the phone like, well, what do you want to do with your degree? And she told me what she wanted to do. I told her what I wanted to do. And literally it was just like, let's do it together. And we hadn't even really graduated college yet. We graduated, but we were like in the beginning stages of our career. And we were both working at Big Four accounting firm, which is like goals for accounting.
Wow.
She was working at
I heard of them and I don't know nothing about accounting.
Yeah, she worked at KPMG. I worked at Deloitte. And we were like, we're just going to do it together. And so at the time we had no clients, no nothing.
Okay, hold on now, because now I'm gonna take it back, right? Michigan, you get into Michigan, which is a really good school. We both went there. I kind of just barely made it in there.
Listen,
I remember getting on campus and people was like, "You here?" Like a lot of the smart cast people, it was like, "What? How did you get in here?" But you were smart. You were really smart, right? So you get in, and then I think you got accepted into Ross School of Business, right?
Yes, I went to Ross,
which was one of the top business schools in the country. It's
too.
like always 1 and 2, either 1 or 2, right? So you got into there, and that's not something that you can get into entering undergrad. Right. You have to actually apply at some point and qualify and be accepted and all of that type of stuff, right? So you do this. You want to do accounting. How was your experience at the Ross School of Business in Michigan?
You asked me that. Nobody ever asked me that. So I hated it.
Why?
So I hated it. And at first I hated it to a point that like I had like a gripe about it. So I felt like coming from a Detroit public school and maybe just public school in general, as a black woman, I didn't really have the support coming up that I needed to know what environment I was entering into. Wow. So, and I say that to say like going to mock interviews or knowing what to wear or knowing how to even talk to these people that are interviewing me, because none of them look like me and none of them come from the same back. And again, that's not to say that I came from anywhere bad, but these people are very different from me. So when I was in B school, it was 470 students that graduated in my class. Wow. And they had it split up into 5 sections. To tell you how many black kids there were, it was 2 of us in each section.
Wow.
2 of us.
Wow.
So it was intense. It was a grading scale. I think I got my first C. Maybe like my first.
Hold on. Listen. Your first C ever?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I got my first C the first semester in business school. Wow. And I was like, I'm about to quit. Like, no.
Because of a C?
Yes.
Shit, I was getting those in middle school.
But I was ready to quit. I was like, no, I was uncomfortable. And really for me, it's a blur. So I applied to get my master's at U of M. Wow. And they didn't let me in.
What?
I didn't get into Ross. So I went to Eastern to get my master's in accounting. And I had a 3.2 GPA. I graduated 3.2.
And you would think I came from here from undergrad. I should get some type of special. Yeah, right?
They said no. Yeah. So I went to Michigan on scholarship.
Wow. You didn't full ride?
No, not when I went there. When I got there, the first semester, after the first semester, I took 15 credits. I think I got all A's. Somebody called me to financial aid. I still don't know to this day.
No, Robyn. No. You ain't gonna do. You might be the first person I ever known who got a scholarship, a full ride after already entering the school.
After my first semester. So Marisa, you remember Marisa? She was a part of this. They literally called us into an office. It was about 7 black students. And they were like, we have some donors and they want students who have a 3.5 GPA and above. And took X amount of credits and we have a full ride for you as long as you keep a 3.0.
You got to be kidding,
and
man.
you take this many credits every semester.
I'm kind of happy and I'm mad at the same time. Why they ain't call me? Well, because I probably had a 2.9 or something like that.
But yeah, they used to meet with us like once a year informally and just ask us how it's going. And they like, if you need an extra year, we got you an extra year. But I had graduated. I had enough credits to graduate after, before, but I had to finish like the B school curriculum.
So these donors were just people who had went to Michigan in the past, and who were.
I have no idea. So they had some representatives, which in hindsight, I think the representatives were really the donors, but I don't know for sure. I don't know who the donors
were. It's like,
I
ain't asking no questions. I just know there's money coming and I'm good. I ain't got to pay this
every
back.
month, our scholarship hit and they paid for tuition and room and board.
What?
But I moved off campus after my first year and got an apartment. They paid for my apartment.
So usually a scholarship or a full ride, it just covers tuition, right? But they were paying, since this was coming from an independent source.
They gave a set amount each semester. So I think, how the school has like a budget of what room and board should cost. So they gave whatever was for tuition. They paid for books.
Yeah.
They took care of everything.
And you didn't even have to stay on the campus.
I did have a scholarship though. Yeah. Before I went from Wade McCree, but it was to Michigan Tech and I wasn't going to Michigan Tech.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
So I was like.
Yeah. So when you weigh those options, it's like if I got to pay when I graduate from Michigan, it's more advantageous to take that route than it is to go to Michigan Tech and get a free ride.
I was straight.
I got you. So this funny story too. You talked about them basically paying your room and board when you weren't even staying on campus, and you stayed in some really nice places. One place we stayed together, I believe, was it Lake Village or Harbor House?
So I think, did you stay in Harbor House?
I stayed in Harbor House.
Okay, so yeah, I stayed in Harbor House too. I remember you stayed in Lake Village.
Yeah, then we went over to the other side once, because Lake Village was a lot of money.
I know.
We wanted to and we was having all these parties and people kind of looking at us a certain way or whatever. I'm like, nah, I'm really broke in real life, so let me go to.
I stayed next to there in Harbor House, but I worked in college too. It didn't pay my rent, but I worked.
Okay. So I'm at your house one day or your apartment. We talking.
I don't remember this.
I know, but you about to. I think you about to remember this. We were talking. It wasn't. No, we've always been strictly platonic, right? But we were talking, and you asked me because we have a mutual friend, Martin Gordon.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And you was like, "How is Martin doing, David?" Shout out to Martin. You was like, "How is Martin doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, Martin, cool. He getting married today." And I was like, "Oh shit."
Oh yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I jumped up. I ran out the door, went home to get some slacks. Right?
I remember.
And I'm doing like 85 on the freeway,
wow.
trying to make it to his wedding.
Right.
I didn't get to the wedding.
I can't.
But I got to the reception. As soon as I walked in, I see Martin all the way in the front talking to a bunch. He see me walking there sweating. He like, this nigga. But he was still happy that I made it. He knew that I had a problem with being on time and stuff.
That's hilarious.
Like my problem back then was calling people back, all of that stuff. But I still made it. So I want to thank you because if I hadn't had no, straight up, if I wouldn't have had that conversation with you that day, I wouldn't have been a part of some of his biggest memories. So thank you for that.
That's funny.
Okay, so now let's get back to you working. So you didn't have to pay your room and board, didn't have to pay tuition. Why the hell were you working?
So I don't know. Probably because I like to shop. So maybe it's just on that. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And maybe because I was used to it. Because in high school I worked at like
that's
Foot
where
Action
I'm getting to. Yeah, that's okay.
So I think I had campus. Well, I did have campus jobs that I forgot about. But I had little things on campus that I would do. And I think probably just, if I think about it now, I probably was just used to
but that's
having something extra.
You give credit to your upbringing, right? Because it just says a lot about a person's character when they're willing to work, when they want to work and they don't necessarily have to, right?
Yeah,
because you're taking on more responsibility that you don't have to. Some people think it hurts you because they're like, oh, I can't concentrate on school, but it actually helps sometimes.
So the thing with that's the trick is anytime I was in interviews or anytime I was applying for something, they always wanted to know what I was doing in addition to school. That's what I'm saying. What people want to know is that you can balance real life because life is not always going to be, just one thing and focus on one thing.
Right.
So I always spoke to being in extracurricular activities or working or doing something and still being able to balance and have good grades. So I worked pretty much. I did work all through college. Even when I got my master's degree.
Yeah, you still work.
Yeah.
Even and that you brought up a good point because a program or an employer, they might be thinking, okay, what happens when life happens? Are you gonna
Yeah.
quit on us, right?
Yeah.
So we want to know that you can sort of balance things, and that's what life is about, really.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So anyway, you graduate from Eastern Michigan with your master's, right? You start working for a big company,
Yeah.
right? Something led to you wanting to say, you know what? I'm getting paid a lot, right? I'm not necessarily liable, right, as an employee
Right.
for what happens or doesn't happen with the company,
Right.
right? That's a comfortable position to be in, so to
Right.
speak. So what led you to wanting to take I think the more difficult route, which is being the person that everybody depends on, right? Being liable for everything that goes wrong.
Right.
What made you want to transition to that? What was your work experience like working for an employer?
So initially, I got fired from GM. Can I say that on here?
Yeah,
Okay.
You got fired.
Yeah, I got fired from GM.
So you got your first C in college, and then the first time ever getting fired. Damn. What?
So I got fired.
Yeah.
From GM. And the reason that I got fired, so I had just had my daughter. She was 5 months. And I was traveling. I was in the international group. So I was traveling overseas for like weeks at a time. And when I had my daughter, I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I knew some people who worked in the North American group, and I was trying to switch to their group. So I think that's what triggered it. And
because your boss was like, oh, you being disloyal and you trying to.
Yep.
Okay.
So I was at 40 under 40. I had just won that year.
Damn.
And my boss was blowing my phone up during this evening time. I'm off work. He's blowing my phone up. A black guy. He wasn't my boss, but he worked directly under like the head person. So he kept calling me. I'm like, something has to be going on. So I leave out and I'm like asking him what's up. And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, they found out you have another job. Talking about J&F, my accounting firm.
Oh, you had already started that before.
We were doing that on the side. So we've been doing that for 12 years.
J&F Advisors. That's her
J&F
business.
Advisors.
Okay.
So we had started that in 2011. This was 2015. So we were doing it on the side. And, you know, we had some good traction, but we were still able to have full-time jobs. So he basically was like, you got to quit that or you can't be here. And so I just thought like, okay, well, I'll just lay low with it. But they were looking for it at that point. So maybe like a week before I got fired, they asked me, can they see my computer? And they were trying to see if I was doing that type of work on my work computer. But I wasn't. But they were picking at it or whatever. So they kept my computer. They never gave it back to me. And they gave me another laptop. So at that point, this was like a Monday or Tuesday, I cleared my desk out. Because I pretty much figured they were about to fire me. Wow. And sure enough, on Friday, they called me in the office and they were like, you have another job that you didn't report. But see, at that time, they weren't really, people are more welcoming of employees having side jobs because if they are not, they would lose everybody because everybody else has something on the side.
Unless it's something where like this thing is in direct competition.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, my accounting clients are not affecting GM from leasing cars, you know?
Right.
So it was silly, but they were like basically that you couldn't do it. And so my thing was like, I'm not quitting this. I don't want to quit this. And so I'm going to just get another job until I don't have to work for any of these people because I always hated working. So I think that's
what did you hate about working?
Because I'm always the only black girl, always the youngest black girl. And I just didn't have anything in common with the people that I worked with. And I'm not the type of person to make something in common and like to engage in small talk and stuff like that. So it was just like I'm here and I can do the work. So you can't fire me for that. But you know,
so you got your own business, right? And you still okay. So I'll say this: the people who work for you, you can control who those folks are, right? Because you hire them,
right?
But the people that you service could be
anybody
from different walks of life, this, that, and the third. So how is that different from working for a company and sort of being forced to interact with people that are from different backgrounds, right? Are the challenges the same?
It's weird because the respect is different. Like, the respect is different. When clients come to me, most of the time they're coming to me with a problem, or if they don't have a problem, they are trying to prevent a problem. So the respect is different. They come like, how can you help me?
So the work dynamic is different versus other people who are kind of looking at you as like a peon or something like that. I get you. Damn. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So then you switched companies from GM to another big time company, right? What was the name of that company?
I went to DTE.
Damn, you got a hell of a resume. Okay, so you went to DTE. They had no problem with you doing what you was doing. and working for them, right?
Yep.
So
But
how was that experience?
I just left. It was kind of the same kind of corporate structure, you know, which I was like burnt out from. And because I had my daughter and she was getting older and starting to go to school and having like programs and stuff.
Needed more flexibility.
And we were getting busy. Then it would be to a point where I would go to work at 8. Or I'd take my daughter to school, go to work, get off, pick her up, do homework with her, go to whatever we got to go to. And then once I got her down at like 8 o'clock, I was working till like 2, 3 in the morning on J&F stuff.
Damn.
So this was every day.
What?
And
Go ahead.
we got burnt out. Me and my business partner, we quit at the same time. She quit her job 2 weeks before me.
Where was she at?
She was at Wayne County and she was like a director there.
And y'all quit
so
at the
we
same
both
time.
quit 6-figure jobs and we just gonna take the chance.
6 figure. That's shit.
And
Yeah. That's
I
a hell of a
trust
sacrifice.
her.
It's easier
Yeah.
to give up a job where you only making 20 grand a year or something. You know, no disrespect to that person, but when you give up a 6-figure check and you don't necessarily know what lies ahead, right? So at that time, you working 8 o'clock in the morning, you getting off late, right? And then you working for JNF Advisors, your business, until like 2 in the morning. How was your support system? Because you got a daughter who's involved in a lot. Who were the people in your, oh, there we go.
My mom and my sister.
Okay.
So really, them for the most part. I mean, every blue moon, like her dad's parents. But for the most part, my mom. So like sometimes, and even to this day, like I can call my mom because I do still have kind of a busy schedule. So like some days, I think for the last 2 days, my mom picked my daughter up from school, took her to dance.
Thank God. Shout out to mamas and
she
grandmamas.
does it willingly. So I'm really blessed in that department because I don't ever have to look for
It never feels like you're being a burden to her. She like, nope, I got you.
No, she wants to do it. And my daughter loves being with her. So even like weekends, I'd be like, Parker, you want to stay home? She'd be like, no.
I've seen you post stuff about that. Like, damn, my daughter likes spending more time with her grandma than me. Yeah.
She would be like, I'm going to my grandma's house.
See, that's kind of I remember it was kind of like that with my kids where I'm like, damn, my son like, you know, being around his granddad, but again, it gives you more freedom too. So you got to take the good with the bad, right?
And some people, you know what? People who don't have that support try to guilt trip you like you a bad parent because your kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got the wrong one.
It take a village. Yeah.
Bye. Like, here you go. Like,
Oh, you want to stay the whole weekend? Okay, cool,
yeah,
cool.
she do every weekend. She go to her grandma's house every weekend. Sometimes she stays home, but she's gone. So my mom was my support. And honestly, what made me quit is because I wanted to be there for stuff that she was doing. Like, you know, I liked being involved. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be able to say, oh, I'm going to this field trip. I'm going to volunteer at the school today. And I didn't want to feel like I'm going to get fired if I did that. So that was really like the driving force behind it. And second was just me being burnt out. I was tired.
Damn. Okay, so I'm about to ask a personal question.
That's fine.
But I'm only doing this. I'm not doing this to be messy. I'm doing it because...
You can ask.
Okay, I'm going to ask,
Whatever.
right? Okay.
I told you I'm transparent.
Okay, so okay, you got a business. You just left corporate, right? But you were working at corporate while doing that business for a long time, right? You got a daughter, and like single parent motherhood ain't no joke, right? Even if you do got other people that help, it's still a 24-hour job. Now I see you on Instagram. You dating this Morris Chestnut looking dude. You know what I'm saying? Just this tall brother who looked good in a suit. But how difficult was it on a road to getting to the point where you are now with who you date? Like, how difficult was it to date and juggle all of these things? Like, can you explain or talk about that journey?
So I've always been a very balanced person. Even in my career, when it was really aggressive, I always was like, my social life is just as important as my work life. So I was able to date. I don't think being able to date was the issue. It was the candidates. The candidates was more so the issue. But I always tell people, like, you know, the great thing about dating is it gets better every time, because when you're dating someone and that person doesn't work for you, you know, going forward, these scenarios don't work for me. And I mean, once you've had a collection of scenarios that don't work for you, you eventually get to what does. So it always gets better.
It helps you to find out what it is you do want in a person, I guess, right?
Correct.
Right.
So,
Damn. But well, I guess, okay, I got a thought on that, right?
Yep.
Because some people might date, they have a bad experience, and then all of a sudden they just say, all right, I'm out the game because I don't want to experience this anymore. No, it's like you're going to get up and keep trying, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not like that at all. And I understand that no two people are the same. And even if you date someone who was bad in their previous relationship, you are not that previous person. So you can bring out something totally different in that person that wasn't in the last person. Or I just feel like everybody gets a fair shot because individually people are different, and two people together in different scenarios can create different, circumstances. Okay. So no, I've never been like, I'm not going to try again.
When do you decide while dating somebody that it's the right time for that person to meet the most important person to you, which is Parker?
Yeah. Okay. So that's an interesting question. So I think that it's very hard if you are the primary parent, and if you have your child all the time, it's hard for whomever you're dating seriously not to meet them. But what I will say is, because she's with my mom a lot on the weekends, I could date on the weekends, or even if I wanted to go somewhere during the week, and I'll be like, Mom, can Parker come over? She'll say yes. So I have the flexibility to not do that. And I don't think that there is a time period, and I don't think that there is a
certain thing that has to happen. Is more of you feel your way through it.
I think you got to do what's organic for you and your kid. And I think what's really special about me and Parker is that I can talk to Parker like I'm talking to you, and we talk about things. And
that's a good thing. Yeah. Instead of doing the Google Gaga, I'm gonna keep everything from you. I don't want you to know what life really is.
We don't do that at all. We don't do that at all. So like, we talk about things, and I will tell her. So I think in this scenario, so I've been dating my boyfriend now for like a year and a half.
So Mr. Chestnut, y'all.
And I think it was maybe like 6 or 7 months before she met him, and it wasn't like intentional or anything, but I think you got to do what's comfortable for you. And definitely it's not something that at least in my opinion, that you should just be free fall with. Just bring your kid around anybody. You got to protect them.
Yeah.
And so, but I think you should use some caution and care. But you got to figure out what that looks like for yourself in your scenario.
I got you. So there's a healthy balance between protecting them and exposing them to things. Because if you become too overprotective, then they grow up, they get out there in the world, and they don't know how to react to what's coming to them. I get you.
But we talk about everything. So no questions are off limit, as it relates to Parker. If you want to know something, ask me. I'd rather her ask me. I'd rather her curse in front of me. I'd rather her do everything with me so that she doesn't feel like she has to sneak and do it when she's away.
I get you.
I encourage her. I'm like, if something makes you mad, you can curse. And she's like, no. She told me, she's like, Mom, you don't have good vocabulary.
You got to know how to use other words, Mommy.
That's what she said. So I'll tell her, because I want her to don't go out in the world and make me look like I'm not parenting you appropriately. But you can do that with me.
I get it. So if you suppress certain things in a child, then once they get out there in the world, but then they get to school and they be cussing up a storm. And it's like, well, if you're doing this here at home, then maybe you'll be less inclined to do those things out there because you don't feel like you're suppressing
it is, you learn the environment which is appropriate and which is not. You know what I mean? So,
which matters. It's not a matter. And some people might call that code switching, right? Because they like, well, if you cuss at home, you should cuss everywhere. And it's like, no, you got to know where you at.
Yeah. So I think that if you, and I'm not like forcing her.
No, you're just saying that, hey, I'm not about to be trying to beat you or castigate you if you decide to do that. You're human and you have emotions.
She's a grade above. And sometimes kids try to they don't bully her, but they try to make her, because she's younger than them, they try to be like, oh, well, we're not going to play with you if you do this, or we're not going to. And I'll be like, girl, tell them.
You better. That's the King Holmes coming out right there. Yeah.
You tell them whatever you want to tell them. I don't care if you tell them. But at the same time, I teach her about respecting people in their space and stuff like that. So it's a time and a place for everything. So
I love this, man.
I tell her, I don't try to restrict her from saying what's on her heart, but I also tell her about respect as well.
Oh, so. You got boundaries. You need to respect boundaries, but also you're somebody who respects transparency and honesty. So obviously you're going to instill those things in your daughter. And for all the folks out there, we're not condoning letting your kids cuss. We having an honest conversation about how to raise kids, with respect to things that fall in the gray area. Life isn't just black and white, and there's a real world out here that we can't ignore and keep away from our kids. So I fucks with that. Sorry,
Yeah,
mama, but
for
I had
real.
to say that. Yeah. So anyway, with this gentleman, right? People that you dated in the past, I've never seen anybody on social media. So
Yeah,
what was the reason why you decided to be open with respect to this situation?
I think that
Not too open, because you ain't being too open about it, but you get my point. Yeah.
I think that I have like shared, and maybe not as much as I have with him. But
Yeah.
I have maybe like, once or twice or something like that. But really, I mean, I'm also the type of person, like, I don't really care about what people say or think about me. So if we weren't together tomorrow and it's somebody new, like, what? I don't care. I'm dating. You are too. Like, that's just the nature of it. But I don't really think about it too much. Like, honestly, like, I share, for me, Instagram is still pictures for me. There are sometimes I talk about business and things like that, but it's very much so pictures and things like that for me. And I love taking pictures. So that's what you see. And then like we go cool places and stuff like that. So I may share stuff like that, but those are just moments in time. That may be 15 seconds out of our whole, whatever together. So it's really about perspective. People can think and see and think whatever they want to think about it. But honestly, for me, it's just like nobody can tell me what to do. So if I choose to like do it today, if I choose to post whoever today and, I don't think that, it's going to be over. But if it is and somebody else comes, then like,
That's life.
I don't care if you say something
because
about
you're living in a moment.
Yeah.
I got you.
So
I got you. Yeah, right. Not being a prisoner to what other people think about you.
Yeah,
That's
no.
so important. Okay, so I got one question about accounting, right? Because you mentioned you mentioned CPA. And I know some people, this is no knock to people who aren't certified, right? Because that stands for what? What is that acronym?
Certified public accountant.
Okay, there we go. What's the difference between one who is certified? Because I know people who work as accountants, but they're not certified. Can you tell me what the difference is?
Sure. So the CPA exam is arguably harder than the bar exam. It is basically a ethical standard and a technical element that basically teaches you how to handle people in business and things of that nature. The reason why, the difference is accountants, they obviously don't go through the process of being certified. And for me as a CPA, I'm required to take 40 hours of education a year. So
Damn.
what I knew then, I still got to keep learning.
Yeah.
And I think for that, it's important because tax law changes, accounting law changes, business changes.
So it forces you to stay on top of what's current.
Correct. So that you never lose what you got and so that you can be current with what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Man, you got such a good heart, man. When I had Mia on here, man, she was talking about how you was using her space to do like...
She was using my space.
To do what? Was it like...
her first photo shoot.
Her first photo shoot, right? And you didn't know at this time that she was going to become as big as she was, right? You just wanted to help.
We were just working. So actually at the time, Mia was developing her brand. I was studying for the CPA exam. So me and Chrissy, we would go to Starbucks and we were sitting there all day.
Chrissy is Mia's other best friend. I got you.
So she was working. She was in grad school. So the three of us, we would just be in Starbucks all day working
together.
Bread. We would be working on different things and how me and Mia even got cool. I mean,
right? Because we went to the same high school, but she's a year older. Yeah.
Yep. And how we got cool is like, I think we used to compliment each other's hair or something like that.
Same girl, different hair. Yeah.
We used to compliment each other's hair or something. And I don't even remember what the like connection was, but we used to study together all the time. And Mia was working and she was, getting things together. And I don't think she knew at the time. She knew she had the heart for it. She was still the same person.
Yeah.
But everybody was working. And so Chrissy was working on graduating. She was doing schoolwork, homework. I was working on passing the CPA exam. So I was doing that. And then she was working on her brand. And so, and we all worked together.
Yeah. But that's important. Like having people who treat you like you're already winning before the wins start happening is so important. And that's the reason why y'all are still working together to this day, like probably a decade or so later. So now the question is, how did you get to the point to where you're the person who manage her money?
Yeah.
Right? You're her accountant for her business.
I think there's a level of a couple things. One, she seen me when I was doing this. So she knows that I have the education and the trust that comes
integrity.
with. Yeah, but then there's also the trust of her being around me, and of her being around me and knowing who I am as a person. So I think that, and she sends me so many clients.
Damn.
Just from being under that retail umbrella, to where I get a lot of people that come over from the retail umbrella. But with that,
because I'll be scared. I ain't gonna lie. If somebody like me, it was like, hey, I need you to do my taxes for my bit. And you know how many, like I'm telling you, before I did that conversation with her, and I was like, throwing promo videos out, I had a couple of people from the G Hive. They was like, we don't play about our Mia. So you bet not, you know what I'm saying? So there's pressure that comes with that, but you stepped up to it. I'm sure.
Well, I don't think there's pressure, just because this is what I do for a living. So even before I started doing that with Mia, I mean, like I said, there is the personal relationship there. And so if I couldn't do something, I would be willing to tell her that. But, like I said, we were pretty much in business and up and rolling and stuff like that. So there is a little bit of pressure, but
it's no different than you wanting to please some other individual out there, because it matters to you to do a good job, no matter how big the client is. I got you. Correct. Okay. Yeah. So no, that's that. And I appreciate Mia. Like you said, a lot of your clients come from her. Like, I don't know, I probably interview you the 11th person. I'll say at least 9 of y'all came on the show as a result of that connection. So I'm forever indebted to her, because she didn't have to come over.
But she's a connector. So for anybody that is not even people that are just in her direct circle, she connects people and she brings people together. And it's weird because she doesn't even desire to get any credit for it.
I know.
And so I'm not gonna say it's weird.
She's
humble
selfless.
Of her. But
it's not like she's not helping people to feed her ego. She's completely unselfish and selfless of an act. Yeah,
completely.
I get you. Yep.
And she won't say anything about it ever. No. She won't ever bring it up or anything like that ever.
Yeah.
And we'll just do it. She gave me a pair of Louboutins. I was asking her how they fit, and she just was like, "Here, you can have them."
Mia. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just asking her about the fit because I was going to buy them.
Yeah, like, you wasn't thinking like, hey, I want you to get these. Yeah, right.
I don't even think I knew we were the same shoe size.
Yeah.
And she was like, you can have, what size shoe you wear? You can have these. But that, I say that to say just how selfless she is, and really just humble, and will do anything and will want no credit whatsoever. Yeah.
Okay, so now we got to get to Let's Be Fair, right? Yeah. I bought a book of yours and I'm like, damn, Robyn, okay, she an accountant. She got her own business. She got a beautiful daughter, and all of this, and now she's an author. Alongside her daughter, because your daughter is very much a part. She's a part of the. Like, I think the character in the book.
So the character is named after her, and the look is kind of like her. Well, I guess you can say it's her, but she's older than what. So when Parker was doing this with me, she was 5, and the character was 8.
Yeah, and you sold this. I think this was during the pandemic.
Yep. So how I started it is funny. I broke up with a boyfriend. Oh. And I was like, I had knew that I wanted to do it, but I was like, for whatever reason, putting it off. But the time that I had, I just started putting into, right, it was during the pandemic, so it wasn't like I was hanging out with people. So I wrote the book. I think I finished the whole process in like a month from writing to, but I was like my head down and I was working.
What is that process like? 'Cause you got to get an illustrator and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. So the illustrator I found on Instagram, a black woman, a black girl. And
because you got to get these features right, you know what I'm saying?
But I wanted to work with a black girl, and I saw her actually on a Foot Locker ad, and I asked her, I'm like, are you willing to do illustrations for a book? And so I think I was the first person to ask her for that, because the price that she charged me for the first book and the price that she charged me for the second book was different. Yeah. But cool, and I know some people who have wrote books since have used her, and so yeah, she was on a Foot Locker ad. I asked her, would she be willing to do illustrations for me? She got them done maybe in like a few weeks, maybe a month at the most. Wow. And I had a friend who was, I have a lot of friends who are editors. Damn. So they edited for me. And
it helps to have people like that, a diverse circle of people who are very competent at whatever it is they do. Right. Yeah. Yep. So, okay. So now you sell this book. right? There was a lot of hype leading up to it. It was like, I kept seeing
I'm
it.
surprised you remember this.
Yeah, I kept seeing it. I kept seeing people repost it. I mean, the marketing was genius in terms of how you rolled it out. And I think you sold a ton of copies.
Yeah, so today I've sold like 3,000
Oh,
copies.
y'all.
So
Y'all hear this? 3,000 copies?
yeah, so the nice thing is working in the accounting space, I have some clients who are in very diverse settings.
Yeah.
So like I have some bankers. So it's a financial literacy book. It's introducing financial literacy to really, it's not just for Black and brown people, but I wanted to show Black and brown people
Representation, right?
Yeah. So I had some banks buy books and donate them to schools. I had some athletes that were clients that bought books and donated them. I donated to my daughter's school. I donated books to her class. And then like, different areas, people have bought books and just bought them individually.
So
give
me a couple of reasons as to why this book should be in all elementary school libraries, on anybody who has a kid. It should be in their personal library or bookshelf. What are some of the things that your kid is going to get out of reading this book? And I'm talking to the people out there.
It introduces social and financial responsibility to children, and they're able to understand it at any age. But one thing that's kind of like a hidden message in it, and I think it's something that kids will get on the back end, is that the book shows the progression of a Black family. So they start off in one house and they're moving into a bigger home, and it's a husband, wife, and 2 kids, which that doesn't have to be, but they're in a smaller house, and the children are earning money by helping their parents pack and prepare to move into a much bigger house. So it really just shows, which at the time was something that I was doing. I was living in a condo, and I didn't even know at the time that I was about to buy a house. And I had bought my condo and I was living there. And the reason why I bought it was because I quit my job and I wanted to know like what my expenses would be. So I bought a condo. And maybe a year later from that, I bought a bigger house.
Damn.
And I didn't know at the time that I was writing the book, but I think it's important for Black kids to see that these things are possible, that just because you live here today doesn't mean you got to live here for the rest of your life or be in this environment for the rest of your life. And generally, that's usually how it happens when you have like working parents and things, or when people get married, they start off in one house. And as they make more money and establish themselves,
they move up.
So that's kind of the hidden message there, but mostly teaching kids about financial literacy, which I feel like a lot of people don't go into careers in accounting and finance because it's intimidating.
I was scared.
It's intimidating.
I was scared of money. When I went to college, I had a few credit cards.
Yeah.
I had my mama manage. I had her paying. I was so scared of money, right? But it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily taught to us at an early age.
We need to have those conversations.
We need to have those
early.
Conversations, right?
And it's okay to. We learn about everything early.
That's probably why it's not that many, Black people.
Yeah, because they're intimidated by it.
Okay.
And so
a book like that, no matter what environment you come from, it'll expose you to it so
Correct.
that you won't be afraid as you become an adult.
So the first book teaches you about just fairness, as it relates
Equity.
to pay. Yes. And even though it's young kids, it opens up, it allows you to have that conversation for more. So there is a second book. So I wrote that book.
I know what this
maybe
called.
It's called A Seed to Sow.
Sow. I love that title.
So I got that because my daughter likes to sew. But anyway,
so it's like a double entendre there. I love that.
I want her to learn how to, spend her money and stuff. But so I wrote that book, finished that book, and then it got stuck in customs.
I'm waiting for because that was that was in 2021, I think, when you finished it.
So I finished it maybe like 6 months later, and I just got really busy and hadn't been able to get back to it, but I am back to it.
You better get back to it. Because right now, where can they find Let's Be Fair?
Let's Be Fair can be found on my website. It's called parkerandjetrose.com. And Jet is spelled Jhett. So it's Parker and Jet, Jhett, rose.com. So it can be found there. And
So you talk about, equity and fairness, right? Because we live in a world where 2 people can occupy the same position, but one might get paid less based on gender, right? That's true. And, your book forced me and Bridget to have conversations about this, because not only is that a reality, but we also live in America. It's meritocracy, right? So you also kind of have to be competent at what you do. So there could be more reasons outside of race or gender as to why you may not be moving up. But I think it's good to have that full conversation with your kid. And then the other thing that your book sparked with me and Bridget was value, right? And we talked about this a little earlier, because yeah, I get it. You know, our value is sort of somewhat associated with what other people think about us, because I grew up, I wanted to be an engineer. So I can't be an engineer going out into the real world unless I'm able to compete. And, you know, somebody else's opinion of me or evaluation of me
matters.
It matters, right? But at the same time, I need something else to counter that, which is internal, which is something that nobody can take from me. And it lies in my purpose of being of service to people, right? And it's like nobody can take that away from me. That's why you see so many people, they climb up the ladder in corporate and then they get there. And I think, who was this guy just recently? He might have been I can't remember, but he was like a high-ranking CEO for maybe Bed Bath and Beyond or some big company. And he jumped because you'll get to that point and success won't be enough. And now your value solely lies in what other people think about you, and you have nothing internal to counter that.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's what your book did for me, because it started those conversations about equity, about competency, about knowing your worth internally and all of that. And we're very much more strategic about how we go about teaching our kids that as a result of Let's Be Fair. So that's why y'all need to go pick up that book.
Yep.
Right. And then you got A Seed to Sow. What is this about?
So
can you tell us, or
I can tell you, sure. So A Seed to Sow is basically a continuation of Let's Be Fair. So the money that she got, she wants a sewing machine because she likes to sew. So it's like, you got to get the rest of the money. You got this much money, but how are you going to get the
Hold on, this is brilliant. Hold on. Because, you know, I just listened to a Jay-Z verse on God Did, and there was so much double meaning in there. And this is so, I'm sorry, I'm genuinely fanning out over this concept. But go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, she wanted a sewing machine. So it's like, you can think of these ways to get money. So one is like, she's going to make friendship bracelets. One is like, she's going to, I think, get some money from family or whatever. But there's these different ways that she comes up with the money to get the money for this sewing machine. But also, the mom is requiring her to have a savings first. So you got to have this much money saved plus the cost of the sewing machine. And it's really, like, it sounds more complex as I'm saying it now, but it's really broken down in a child-friendly way for them to just know and understand and to even think about it. Because while they may not apply it right away, we come back to things and we think about lessons that we learned as kids and we apply them as an adult. And that's why we do these things for our kids. So I
imagine that would be really tough. The tough part is obviously thinking of the concept, but then it's even tougher to break it down so that somebody in the second or third or first grade can understand it.
And that's where my editors come in, because I may say it and it sounds too adult.
I got you. And they can translate it.
They will say, like, well, maybe you need to consider, you know, doing this.
It's good to have a good team. Wow.
Yeah. So,
damn. So, and Parker is the lead character of that book too.
Yes, she's the only one in this one. So her brother is not in this one. It's just kind of her and her mom.
Yeah, because Jet was her brother in the first. Yeah. Damn, see, you giving Parker the blueprint. You see what I'm saying? Like, on how to be an entrepreneur, on how to be fiscally responsible. You're giving her financially responsible. You're giving her the blueprint.
Stay in one box. Because even though I'm a CPA and I have that technical skill, if I only did that, I would be miserable, because I'm very creative.
So there's the creative side that's being served as well. Yeah.
So,
wow.
And you don't make a lot of money. Well, I don't make a lot of money from books. So it's
really
a
labor
passion.
Of love. Yeah,
for me.
But damn, 3,000, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
You don't make a lot of money with books. You got to get them printed. You got to, you know, maybe if I had like a publishing house, a big one, but I self-publish, so.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do it the way you want to do it and as comfortably as you do it if you didn't have the other thing.
I have no regrets, and I'll keep doing it. Like, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Okay. So now this, it was something else I saw where you teach financial literacy to adults, to business owners. Yeah. How did it get to that point to where you was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and create this course and try to help other people to get to the point to where they are financially responsible and more successful with running their businesses? How did you get to that point? Yeah,
so working in accounting and with small businesses, I see where there is a consistent disconnect of people just understanding really basic things. And so that's why I started like offer, and I don't offer them that often, but maybe like once a year, a financial literacy course to just like level set and know what to even look for or to do when you're a business owner. And so everybody who takes it is like at the beginning of whatever they're trying to do. And the problem is we start businesses because we're passionate about something. So, but then we get in it and we not filing taxes on time, or we're not doing the things that are our responsibility as business owners. And then it becomes a burden and we lose our business and we lose that passion. Whereas if we just take some time to be educated a little bit, we can properly feed, our passion and help it to grow. But without having that knowledge and keeping it, top of mind, we let those things
Absolutely.
go. And
Absolutely. So how often do you teach this course?
I teach it like once a year, usually in December, just because it's a new year and you can start things off right. But not only do it like once a year, but I do it when people ask me to come and appear and things like that. Like I'll do it for that. I taught at U of M too.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I taught an accounting course at U of M.
When you do this? When did you?
I did this in like 2018, 2019. I can't remember, but I hated it.
You ain't no joke. Why you hate it? Why did you? But just to be able to say you taught at the University of Michigan, a place you graduated from, is huge, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of a way of giving back in a sense.
Yeah.
But why did you hate it?
Because I was teaching grad school students and they are not impressionable. So they already know what they want to do. They're just here to finish whatever requirements that they have.
They're not as curious as somebody in undergrad.
And so they just have poor attitudes. And I had this one kid telling me because I wouldn't give her answers to a test. She told the dean that I would not give her answers to a test.
And she told on you?
Yes, and he came and sat in my class and I was just like, I don't have time for this. So, yeah.
Wow.
But,
I got you. Okay. So you taught at the University of Michigan. You got a course that you teach once a year or when people request it. How would they go about even signing up to do it?
So, for the financial literacy course, if I am going to teach something like that, then I'll post it and I'll let people know, when it is, when it's available. I normally will do it like a month so that people can prepare for it. And then, so I post it to my social media. My social media is Rocky Robyn. So ROCKY.
Okay.
ROBYN. So I post it there. And then also if it's something that JNF Advisors is going to do, then we post it. We just make sure that people can see it. And sometimes we even get sponsors to cover the cost if that's something that they're interested in doing. We do ask every time. And if they're interested, they'll cover the cost. And yeah.
Somebody who is as highly successful as you would have to be someone who thinks ahead, right? So with respect to JNF Advisors, with respect to being an author of one and soon to be 2 books, the second one is going to be released soon. Like, what are your plans for the future?
My plans for the future is to retire. So I'm serious.
What age you want to retire?
Really, like 45.
What you gonna do?
I want to still I want to travel some more. I want to, when my daughter's in college, I want to be around. And if she moves out of town, I could go now. But, I just want to be more present in life. Like, I don't feel like we are here to just work. So I want to enjoy. Because
we only got one of these things.
Yeah,
that we know
and
of,
enjoy like the fruits of my labor. And so I think me and my business partner are on the same page as far as that. Really, right now, we're just working to take ourselves out of the business and have it so that it can be ran without us.
Because how many employees you got?
So we have, I think 5.
All women too. I saw that.
Yeah, and that's not even on purpose.
Yeah.
We did have a guy one time. But yeah, all women right now. And the goal is to just build that so that we can eliminate ourselves, like still have oversight, but so that we can sell our service. And
what type of services does JNF Advisors offer? Like, just run down a list of what people would come to you for.
Sure. So we offer accounting, audit accounting, tax services, advisory services. So we know what tax is, we know what accounting is, but advisory is more like project work. So say if you have something that you need to do to prepare for banks, or say that it's more like project and like thinking ahead, type work, as opposed to accounting, which is like bookkeeping and things of that nature, reporting and stuff like that, and taxes. tax.
Wow. Okay, so somebody who make a little bit like little crumbs like me, you wouldn't turn me away if I want.
We service.
Because you mentioned something about athletes earlier. I'm just saying I ain't got no athlete money, but you
That's
would.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep, we service individuals, small businesses, middle market clients.
Got you. And what if I come in there and I say, no, I want to talk to Robyn? Okay.
I'm gonna say no. Yeah, so
You hurt my feelings if you but you might be on the move, and you the business owner, so you can't be there all the time. But do you even with the people? So you don't have to interact with all the clients, right? Because everybody has their own clientele or people that
I say that I see them at some point,
okay.
or talk to them at some point. Maybe several of them I talk to more often than not, but I don't want to because of them, but I want to take myself out of that because really I want to advise I don't really want to do the busy work.
Yeah, because you can't do the other things you want to do though. Yeah.
Strategic and stuff like that.
That's like a good leader. A good leader empowers their employees so that they don't necessarily have to be attached to them in that sort of way.
And we love to like empower our employees and to help them. Like we have one girl that's been with us for, I don't know, maybe since we quit right after. So probably 3-4 years. And she's great.
Wow.
She's great. And she learns a lot. And, for me, I would rather promote her than to bring somebody new in above her. Because she's so good and she's so loyal and she's been with us. Like, it's almost like we'll do whatever to keep her because the value is in who she is and the fact that she's been with us and know our processes and stuff like that. So
yeah, I hate when and I understand why companies do it. Sometimes they prioritize expansion over actually moving people upward.
Yeah,
and I guess you have to find a healthy balance between both.
Well, you can expand and hire at a lower.
Bring somebody in, and then that person that's at this level that's been there, they go up to. I get you. You can do both.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay, so the reason why I had you on here is because you know how much I admire you already, right? Just somebody who came from the hood, but just was always able to carry herself with elegance and grace and not necessarily care about what other people in that environment would have thought about you. Because of course people might be like, oh, she's stuck up or she this, but you are who you are. A great person. One quote that comes to mind by a guy by the name of, what's his name? John McWhorter. He's the author of a book called Woke Racism. Y'all should go check it out. But the quote is, let me see, hold on, let me get this right. Underestimation must be countered with demonstration, not indignation, right? So the thing about you is that all of these ceilings that have been placed above you, you've bust right through them. You didn't complain about it. You put that energy into demonstrating why you were worth what you are, right? You put in the work, you put in the hours, and that's the reason why, well, you're here today and you're able to help so many people. So, and you do help so many people because you could easily just, be successful, do your own thing and not necessarily think about reaching out to those who might need help. And you make that a part of your mission. So I appreciate you. I thank you for being on the show. Me. Yeah, you told me something, and I was about to end it. You told me something that scared the shit out of me on Instagram because you commented and you was like, "Dang, I like you on this show. Like this the only thing you ever done that I like."
I did not mean it like that. I did not mean it like that.
No, I know you didn't, but that's honest. It's more like this is the thing that because a person can come out with a bunch of things, but it might not be your cup of tea. You still support it.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, my opinion doesn't matter that much.
No,
like, no, it doesn't.
Listen.
When I said that to you, I meant that more like, I feel like you love this. Like, you love these conversations. You love talking to people and things like that. Obviously, I've seen your movies and things like that, and those are great, but I don't see you in them. That's really. True. Oh, this is that's you. Good. That's like, good. This is like your real silly personality and stuff like that. So definitely didn't mean anything.
No, it is. That is true. Great. I get you because this is more of me. And even when I was acting, I wasn't being me, and it was just like whatever. But with this, you do get to see me, but it scared me because I like doing stuff where my ego isn't involved. I want to always feel like I'm serving people with the message and with being vulnerable and transparent. And I don't want to make it about my ego. So when you said that, I'm like, Robyn is somebody I really care about, and I really care about her opinion. So you never want to get to the point to where you're doing it solely to meet somebody's expectations, and you're staying grounded, you're staying humble, and you're staying of service to whoever the message might be for. But that's the reason why it scared me, because I showed Bridge. I said, look what Robyn just said. Robyn Fuller. the CPA, the author.
Stop.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank you for that, man.
Stop.
And I also want you to look into the camera one more time and tell people where they can find you on social media.
So my personal social media is Rocky Robyn. It's ROCKY Robyn ROBYN. Also my business page is J&F Advisors, JANDF Advisors. Yeah, you can find me on either one of those. Or if you want to connect about some business stuff, there's LinkedIn. All of those things.
Hey, y'all, listen, fellas, she taking. I know y'all thinking in y'all head like, damn, because most dudes be complaining. They be like, damn, you know, this woman beautiful, but she spend all my money. You got a fine woman right here who gonna make you more money, but she taking. All right? I'm just letting y'all know that. We out, y'all. TinBridge. Peace.
Bye.